Welcome everybody back to my Space Engineers Beginner's Guide. This is episode 11. Now, last episode, if you recall, we just finished off our little scout ship here so that we could scoot around and check out ore deposits and what they were, where they were and things like that. Now, I've been trying to decide what we'll tackle next. And quite frankly, I haven't actually decided yet. We've got all the ores we could need here. Maybe mining. You've seen me mine just using with my hand tool. This little beastie here. And if you recall from the early one or two episodes, I mentioned that if you double right click, turns the drill on, leaves it turned on. I'm not pressing any mouse buttons at the moment here, and that will remove material. If I come over here, point down, as you can see, it's just removing material. It's not actually leaving anything behind, like such. Press any mouse button to actually turn that off, left or right. If we double click with our left mouse button, which is our active mining or select, or the primary mouse button, so double click that, again it turns on. But now if it touches anything, and there we go, I just don't need anything more than that, it's generated two little nodules. I call them nodules anyway, and as you can see, you can press F to pick it up. So just F, pick you up, probably be good to have anyway, and F to pick it up. Okay, so that's the two functions of our drill. Now those same functions also apply to our welder, at least the principles behind welder, and our grinder I should say, at least the principles behind it. If we change to our grinder, there's no right mouse button function on our grinder, and same with our welder. There is a left function however, although there's nothing here. Let me just... Okay, so it seems that with... Oh, that's interesting. You need 0 steel plate. Now that is interesting. There is a right mouse function of forms with our welder, but not with our grinder. Our grinder doesn't do anything on the right mouse button. Left, however, press and hold, turns it on, turns it off. Double click it, it stays turned on. Again, I'm not pressing any mouse buttons at this point in time. Either mouse button will actually disable that, or deactivate that I should say. With our welder, it's exactly the same, with one exception. Well, I suppose it's not an exception, it's more of a condition. If we come over here and double click our left mouse button here, nothing happens. We can come back over here, nothing happens. It just clicks, that's it. Same with the right mouse button. As you can see, nothing's happening. If we, however, double click with our left, our actual main use button, it's turned on. This is now an active welder. I can walk over... Oh, actually, let's just do it. Let's get a whole stack of blocks that are ground up. There we go. Change to our welder. We walk over the first one, double click it. Okay, it's welded. Now I'm not touching any mouse button, but now as I walk over these other ones, as you notice, it is now actively welding. So it has to be on a block that requires welding before you can double click it to activate and turn the welder on. But once it is activated, you can just walk over and point it at blocks that need to be welded and it will just weld. You don't need to press any further buttons. It's great when it comes to large structures, when you're doing a lot of welding of the same things, especially like light armor blocks or even heavy armor blocks. You can just double click it on the first one and just sit there and just walk around like this. And walk, as you can see, it's highlighting the different blocks. You can just walk around and weld them up as you go. So nice little ability that our welder has got. I'm curious as to our right mouse button though, what sort of functionality that's liable to have, considering I had the steel plate, and it actually said that I needed 0 steel plate, so it told me what I needed, and this is just letting us know what we've got. Let me just check this. Just if we come over here, just going to drop these here for the moment. Okay, you need steel plate 0 times to build light armor block. If I press the left to try and build it, it says I need 4 of them. Let that go away. See, now it says 4. That's the right mouse button I'm using there. How interesting. Curious. Alright. Okay, so they're the different functions we've got of our hand tools. Now, as I mentioned, ships, small ships and large ships, by the way, large grids and small grids, have also got their welder variants, grinder variants and drill variants. They're not hand tools like these, of course. Let me just clear a bit of space here. We'll just put these down in here so I can show them to you. Okay, that is a large drill that is used for, there we go, that is used for drilling and mining with a large ship, large grid. As you can see, it's quite a nasty piece. You wouldn't want to actually get too close to those drill heads. They can really cause you a bit of problem. Our grinders for grinding things down, pretty much the same. They look like buzz saws actually, 2 of them together. They will make short work of most items, or all items except for the ground. That's what your drill's for. Now, the drill as well, you can see it mostly with this actually. You can see that yellow square behind these 2 rotating discs at the front. That is almost like a vacuum in some respects, I guess. It's just my own words. I don't know what the developers actually refer to it as. That basically sucks up the ground down components as your grinders are breaking them down. Now apparently, I haven't found this myself, but then again, I haven't tested it extensively. Apparently any containers that have got resources and materials inside them will also get picked up by the grinder as you grind that container down. So very handy. Now as for our welder is this beast here. It is a dual welder, dual head, as you can see, and this is all a large grid, or large ship, so something made out of these full-size blocks here. So you can see they're reasonably large. If, however, you wanted to put it on a small ship, it's not that much smaller. The only part that's small is, that's a nice better view of it, is the back part. It sort of shortens it all up. If we put it down here, as you can see, it goes back to being long. The actual welder component at the front seems to pretty much stay the same. It just makes the back a bit more compact, just like that. Now, that's the grinder. Now, it's very similar in size. We do lose some of the conveyor ports. There is only a single port at the back. Same with the welder. And the drill, however, is a little bit different. This is the small grid variety. It's only got 3 small grid small conveyor ports. It doesn't have the big ports. This has got one at the back and one on each side. There we go. But the small grid variant has only got 3 small conveyor ports. So that's because, well, you only make use of the small conveyors basically on a small grid. And it keeps it more compact. It's whereas the welder and the grinder are more set up to plug directly into either a conveyor junction, a big one, well, just a small grid big one, or straight into a cargo container, which have got the larger ports on them. The grinder, however, the drill, however, is actually designed to break the material, the ore, down into small pieces and then pipe that into a storage canister or container of some sort. But you can do quite a lot with these as well. And this one in particular, the drill head, it operates and has got the same sort of functions as our hand drill. There's this one over here. We've got the left, which will pick up ore pieces as it mines it, right, which will actually just remove material altogether. There is a little condition, I guess, it also comes with that. And I'm not going to be able to show it to you here actually. I don't think. Let me just have a look. Gee. No, we've only got groups because we've got no tools there. Well, let's fix that. We're going to actually remove these items off the front. Probably put them back. We will put them back at some stage, but for now we want to put that. No, not that one. Come back over here. There we go. I'm just going to weld this up, just so I can show you this. In fact, let's make use of it. Some steel plates. Don't recall how many I needed. Shocking memory. Plenty. Construction and large tubes. It's probably not enough. Okay, so we are out of them. Hurry up. There we go. See, that's the advantage of having that all set up with the conveyor sorters like we did. Okay, let's just jump back in the cockpit here. Now when we go into our toolbar config for inside the ship, we've got this weapons and tools. If we go over to that, it shows drill. Now if we had 1 drill, 2 drills, 5 drills, if you really wanted to try 100 drills, they all just list as drill. Now let's just put that down here on our bar and close up our toolbar config. Now when we press 5, it's actually automatically selected for us. We are in drill mode. It's giving us control over the drill with our mouse. Left, as you can see, drills. Right, believe it or not, will remove material but not actually pick up any resources. So let's go and give that a try. So turn our engines on and let's just scoot on around over here. And we'll start just testing it on the ice, I think. And we're going to start with the right mouse button. Right mouse button on. Okay. What did we just do? Oh, okay. We don't have much in the way of thrusters to stop us from falling into the ground. But let's just see it from this perspective here actually. Now double click the right mouse button. No, we don't have the lock on ability. Double left click, don't have the lock on ability. So we can't just turn them on. We've got to actively press and hold the buttons. But the right mouse button is what I've got pressed at the moment. Let's just very carefully come back down here. And as you notice, it is literally just removing ice. Let's just back it back out. Check out cargo and medium cargo container, nothing in it. Okay, so let's just do the same thing now with our left mouse button. Let's just go up a little bit so we can move forward. Left mouse button turned on and drive into the ground. Oops, that's plenty. Let's back up a bit. And checking our cargo, we've now got two units in the cockpit. That is very interesting, and that reason for that is because we plugged our drill directly to the front of our cockpit. And we've got nothing that's going to tell it to take it from the cockpit and send it back to the cargo. There is pipes there, and we can select it and move it. Let me just straighten up before we fall over. There we go. So if we go into inventory, we can grab this ice and we can drag it down and put it in our container. But there's nothing for it to automatically go there. What it will do is, as we mine, it will transfer from the drill to the cockpit, from the cockpit through the conveyors into the cargo container. It will eventually get there. But for now, we'll just do it by hand. So yes, there is the two functions there. There is the left, just like our hand drill. We've got the left mouse button, that is active mining, that will actually pick up materials and transfer them into our ship. Or there is the right mouse button, which will remove material and pick nothing up. So it's great for boring through that stone that you don't need any more of to get to the resources underneath that you do need. So very, very handy little function. But yes, you can actually build these into big arrays. I've built mining ships that have got drill heads that consist of like a 4x4, so 16 drills. I've actually built bigger ones. I've built them in both the small ship variety here. I've also built large ship varieties for asteroid mining. It's absolutely fantastic for tearing through asteroids, I will admit. A lot of people do the same sort of thing. I find with some of my space-based games, I end up building a rather large mining ship. It's got a huge, I think the biggest one I had was it a 6x5 drill head on the front of it, so it's quite large, and it would tear straight through an asteroid very, very quickly. Now, that said, there's another method of utilising our drills, which is what I've normally done in the past. Cockpit, as you know, we've got number 5 there. We select that, our mouse now moves and operates it. The other way is if we come into our toolbar config, go to all blocks and find the drill. If we've got just one, if we've got a group of them and we've got them listed as a group, we'll find them under groups, just like we did for thrusters. But we can click that and bring this down onto our toolbar, and as you can see, we've got toggle block on and off, whereas we didn't have that option with this one here. So in a lot of cases, if I'm just going to mine straight through something and I've got systems on board to eliminate the rubbish, like the excessive stone, I'll just set it on the toolbar there like that, and then if I just hit 7, it turns on. Oh, hang on, 7 again to turn it off. I had to very quickly do that. If you saw all the stuff that was just kicking up, is because, let me just jump out. Our drill head is close enough to our decking here to actually damage it. Not a good plan, not a good plan at all. Fortunately it didn't. But the fact that it was kicking up dust was letting me know that it is close enough for it to start influencing our deck. I do have destructible blocks turned on, which means it would actually damage our light armor blocks here, start warping them, start dinting them, and eventually chew them up and spit them out as well. Don't want that. Okay, so let's just grind that back down. and change this back to what we had, which is that. I'm going to actually change the arrangement here a little bit. Put our spotlight in the center. And now we can put our antenna to one side. We'll face you in and all detector to the other. Ooh, blinded by the light. And since we're stopped on the pad here, we'll turn you off. There we go, saves us getting blinded every time we look at it. Okay, now advantages of welders, especially on the ships, small ships and big ships. Believe it or not, I have not made use of welders on a dedicated welding ship that's made out of a large grid. I find that the large grid ships are too big and bulky to be used as the fine precision required to actually maneuver around and weld up. I have used them for static welders. What I call a static welder is a welder that is actually designed to weld up a blueprint projection, which actually that is a good thing to mention. Space Engineers has built into it a method of blueprinting your creations. For example, our ship here. Let's just jump into it again, turn our engines on, undock it, go up. Oh, and while we're here, you notice that our drill down the bottom there they're greyed out. That's because we've removed the drill. So toolbar config, it just gives us access to the mouse, and right clicking on those ones will remove them off the toolbar. Okay, so we're just hovering up in the air here, and before we go any further, you can name grids. I'm not sure if I've actually covered this, but if you bring up K at terminal, yeah, you notice it's called small grid 9142. The number is automatically generated by the game, and that tells us this is a small grid vessel or base or ship or platform. The number is a unique identifier. All grids have got a different number. I don't think I've come across any the same. I most likely could be wrong about that, but from my experience I haven't seen any that have got the same number. Now if we jump over here to info, and I believe we did cover this briefly, ship name down the bottom here, or grid name, small grid. Now let's give it a name. Let's call it Small Scout 01, just in case we make more. We've hit OK. It won't change here at this stage, but we need to close our terminal and reopen our terminal. It now says Small Scout 01. Alright, now the reason why we've done that, let's just, I know we're hovering, but let's just jump out of our ship and we'll just let it sit there and hover on the pad, above the pad. Now, I was discussing blueprints. Blueprints are a replica or a model or a record, if you will, of this ship. All the blocks, all the placement, this exact ship. And we can use blueprints to recreate this ship. Now, in order to make a blueprint or save a particular ship, it's not like saving the game. Like we can hit escape, which brings up this screen here. We can go save, yes, save progress, and it will let us save. As you can see, star system. Yeah, okay, star system, SE beginner's guide, episode 11. Okay, that saves this entire world, but all the creations in this world are bound to this world. I can't take the creations out of this world and start a new game and load them up in that unless I blueprint something. Like for example, I might want to use this scout ship in a new world, a new game. So I'll sit here and just go up, find a nice angle so it looks pretty nice. So I can easily recognise it. And with our crosshairs there pointing to or touching any part of that grid itself, we press Control B on our keyboard. Now you notice it brings up this new screen called Blueprint Screen. Yeah, we've got access to our mouse. If we scroll down, as you can see, I have got a lot of blueprints in here. I probably should have cleaned them up. Oh, actually, I do clean them up periodically. But if we scroll right down, we call this Scout. Let's see, Small Scout 01. There it is there. That's a different one of mine. But as you can see, I have a little, here I'm pointing to the screen, we've got a little picture there that's popped up, little icon picture basically, that is exactly what we are looking at here. So we can see at a glance, oh yeah, that's our Small Scout. Now, in a survival game like this, I can select it. You notice I have no access to OK. However, if we were to change this game to a creative game, or I load up a new map that I want to just build stuff in, and don't want to be constrained with having to refine and build them up from scratch and all that sort of stuff, I can select this same Scout and OK is available. I can click on that and this blueprint screen will go away, which we can make it go away by pressing cancel or pressing F10 on the keyboard. And in fact F10 is used to bring that blueprint screen up at any time and to remove it. But in a creative game we can, well, we've got the ability to Control V. Now, any person who's familiar with things like Word or just copying and paste in general knows that Control V is paste. Well, when you select the blueprint in Creative and select OK, it then is in the clipboard. We can then Control V and paste it anywhere into our world. Well, where we are, that is. In a survival game, however, it's a little bit different. But we can still make use of all of those blueprints. Now I'm just going to land this ship again. There we go. We can actually make use of those blueprints in a survival environment. The difference being, in a survival environment we have got to build things from scratch. Now, in order to do that, we need what's called a projector. It is an item in the game. We'll go in here and we'll find it right there, projector. Projector can have a blueprint loaded into it. It will then generate this insubstantial hologram of that ship, or whatever that item happens to be, that projection. You can then come along with your welder and having the required resources in your inventory, and you can weld that hologram into reality. Now, there's a few things you need to be mindful of in order to do it properly. The hologram, the ship, the land vehicle, the base, whatever, it's got to have at least one block that is touching a grid. It doesn't have to be any particular grid, it's got to be touching a grid. It will become attached through that one block. So you normally add a strut or something that can be ground off later to detach the welded up blueprint ship from its support, whatever that support is, whether it be the base that we're standing on, whether it be another platform that's attached via a landing gear, which is quite common actually. It's, in fact, if you have a look at the Easy Start games, just get rid of that, they have some holographic projectors there with some preloaded blueprints so that you can actually weld them up. Now, they use a small grid landing gear like this thing over here. On top of that, they have a small reactor, very, very small one. It's the size of a small block actually. I don't have access to a small block there, I can show you. Yeah, just one of these small square blocks. A small nuclear reactor for a small grid is the size of one of those. So it's got landing gear, it's got a small nuclear reactor, it's got a small projector, but then it's got a large overhanging almost like a street lamp type arrangement. And the projection, the hologram, is set up so that when it's turned on, one point touches the outermost edge of that overhang, and that gives you that support that I was mentioning to be able to build from. You can start welding from that point and build it out. When you're finished, you can fly up and you can grind off that one connector point off the telegraph pole overhang, and that detaches the object. Now becomes a separate grid all of its own that you can then fly, do what you like with. So blueprints are very handy. They're a way of being able to record your creation in a survival game or a creative game. It makes no difference. You can control B to blueprint in either type of game, and they will show up in this gigantic big list. Well, correction, mine's a gigantic big list. They will show up in this blueprint screen here with an icon, which is a thumbnail of what it looks like at the time that you actually blueprinted it, and you can then recreate it at any time in a survival game or a creative game. And yeah, these are actually, some of these are my own creations. Some of these I've prefixed some here with SE. If we come down here, SE, these are some of the objects, the spawned vessels in the game. Some of them are starter ships. I went through and I located them and I converted them into blueprints actually. Some of them I've actually blueprinted on the fly, like that one there. He was actually attacking me on a survival game, and I thought, hey, that's a pretty snazzy, pretty cool looking ship. I want to actually look at that closer on later on. So I actually blueprinted it whilst it was attacking me. I believe I actually died in the process of doing that, but anyway, later on I was able to actually break it down. This is just the same thing, but I've actually stripped one layer of small blocks off it so I can look at the interior, and I've re-blueprinted it just so I've got a copy of it there, and I've done that with quite a few of the others as well. Some come off the workshop. These are creations that are by Ectosage. He released them as part of World. I thought, hey, that's pretty cool, I might make use of some of those, so I've actually blueprinted them up, so I've got them there available, all the different variants as well. What else have we got here? Some have come from the workshop. These ones are off the workshop. Actually, I have to retry that one again. It was too big, it wasn't loading properly. Yeah, some are buildings. Some of my own workshop creations. And a lot of other ships that I've worked on and I do work on. Various, these are structures. Yeah, a lot of experiments that have failed. Some are experiments that succeeded. These are actual pirate bases that I used to set up various scenarios. They're the ones actually from the game that I've blueprinted them so I can reuse them and place them in myself. It's great for creating my own pirates. What else have we got here? Yeah, various bases. Some of these, as you can see, are just cubes, blocks. Very uninteresting. Some are quite interesting actually. That one's not mine. That one's not mine. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, just experimental pieces. What else do we have here? Oh, yes. That's the solar sail that I showed before. Mobile refineries, various ship designs of various iterations. But back to what we were talking about before about mining. These are small grids. These are just some of the variants of different types of mining ships. I've got large ones. These ones have got, that's probably one of my, those are two of my largest. That one there I think is the largest. Huge drill array. It's got a couple of refineries actually and stuff like that built into it, so when you offload your product, it's actually all ingots that you're dumping off. It's not actually raw ore. And that cuts a gigantic big square hole, or rectangular hole I should say, that is actually large enough to create a base inside an asteroid with a huge hangar entryway. That ship alone can just chew asteroids up and spit them out the other end. So yes, blueprinting is very handy, and in fact next episode we will set up a small projector, and I might even show off one of the smaller atmospheric ships that I have actually built and load it up into a projector, and we'll actually pick up some of our resources here. In fact, we might do it one of my mining ships, so we can mine these resources here, and that way I can also highlight the blueprint system and holographic projectors and how you use that to world up new ships that have been created in a completely different game and are now recorded so that we can make use of them many times over in many different games. But for now, thank you for watching. Happy engineering, and I shall talk to you in next episode.